YouTube. I want to talk to you a bit today about cabinets. I titled the video "The Secret Cabinet Secret." It's not really a secret. It's just there's some cabs I think people don't know as well as maybe they should. Maybe they'd be interested in. So you're all familiar with this cab, Marshall 1968. Probably the most popular cab out there, most bought cab. Some of the specs on it: 14¼ inch deep, 30 inches wide, 30¼ inches high, 4 Celestion G12 T75 speakers, 4 16 ohm mono operation or 8 ohm stereo, has casters on it, birch cab construction, but with an MDF backboard. Backboard's MDF, grill cloth, and as well the corner pieces and the handles are plastic. It is priced at around $1,050. So keep in mind I'm in Canada, so I price these based on what I have around here. So anyway, like I said, most popular cab that is out there. Everyone's heard of it. You probably know someone who has it, or maybe you have it. And the reason I wanted to do this video was to point out some other cabs that are pretty much comparable, or in my opinion have some better specs, but people don't necessarily know about them. So the first one I wanted to bring to your attention is this one, which is made by Traynor, which is a Canadian company. You've probably heard of Traynor amps or something, especially from vintage stuff, but they're still around, they still make stuff. Anyways, the Traynor YCS 412V model A2. So it's essentially, I would say this is their comparable model to the Marshall 1960. It's basically the same shape, same specs. It's got the same dimensions. It's 14¼ by 30 wide by 30½ tall. The difference is, instead of having an MDF back, it is all birch construction. So the sides, the top, bottom, baffle, the back, 100% birch, so there's no MDF in there. These come with casters that are nice. They're the pop-out casters. So they're in there, and then they're like a pressure fit, so you can just pull them out, and then you can have no casters if you want that, which the Marshall one doesn't have. And as well, all of the hardware is metal. So the corner guards and the handles are metal. So you're not going to have plastic that's going to chip and break. But other than that, it's the same. It's got the same speakers, the Celestion G12 T75s, 4 of them. It runs 4 16 ohms mono or 2 times 8 ohm stereo. Like I said, same dimensions. It's got grill cloth, so it's basically the same except that it's got metal hardware, it's got pop-out casters, and it's got all birch construction, no MDF. The Marshall, I priced it at $1,050. This cabinet, $600. So for a savings of $450, you get a cab with the exact same specs, dimensionally and speaker-wise, and to me even better specs because you get the metal hardware, you get the pop-out casters, and you get the all birch construction with no MDF, and you're paying $450 less. So anyway, so that's that one. Another really popular cab, because either people like to get the 1960 and then change out the speakers for like vintage 30s, or they like to get one of these, which is like a Mesa Recto cab. And the 412 comes for the Recto is either you get the traditional or the oversized cab. So the traditional is 14¼ deep by 30 inches wide by 30¼ inches tall, the traditional. The oversized is the same depth and width, but instead of 30¼ inches tall, it's 33 inches tall. So it's a little bit bigger. Less thing, but it comes with 4 Celestion Vintage 30 speakers, and it's 8 ohm mono or 4 ohm stereo, all plywood, all birch plywood construction. Again, no MDF, unlike the Marshall. Removable casters, metal hardware, grill cloth. So it's again, it's just kind of, I would say the higher, a little bit higher spec than the Marshall one. And the price that I find on that one was $1,130. So So those are kind of the two that I've seen to be the most popular. A lot of people, if they want the Marshall, they'll go with the 1960. If they want to get the vintage 30s, a lot of times they'll go with the Mesa. So to compete with the Mesa, Traynor has this cab. It's another Traynor, Traynor YCS 412A2. So the one with the Celestion G12 T75s is the 412V, and the one without the V is the YCS 412. Is the one I'm talking about right now. So it is the same dimensions as the Marshall one. So it's 14 1/4 deep by 30 wide by 30 1/4 high. So same dimensions as the Recto traditional 412, a little bit shorter than the Mesa oversized 412 cab. But what does it come with? It comes with 4 Celestion Vintage 30 speakers. It runs 4 or 16 ohms mono or 2 8-ohm stereo. It's got the pop-out casters just like the other one. It's 100% birch construction, side top back baffle, no MDF. It's got metal corner guards and handles. And the other thing that on this one, the one with the G12 T75 speakers has a grill cloth. On this one with the vintage 30s, they've actually got a metal grill on it. So you're less likely to accidentally kick through and break your speakers or whatnot. So again, so I would say this is their one that is comparable to the Mesa cab, or comparable to the 1960 if you were going to switch out the speakers and put in vintage 30s. So for 1-to-1 I compared it to the Mesa because that's kind of the other popular one. So you get basically same dimensions, same speakers, 4 vintage 30s, same operation, all birch construction, but this one has a metal grill where the Mesa doesn't. And again, so the Mesa came in at $1,130. The Traynor 412 cab with the vintage 30s comes in at $600. So whether you want to buy the Traynor with the G12 T75s or the Traynor with the vintage 30s, it's $600. So you're saving $650 on the one hand, $450 on the one hand, and like $530 on the other hand. And you're getting cabs that have essentially the same specs. Not to say that the other cabs are bad, but I just wanted to point that out because I think Traynor is a brand that a lot of people don't think of when they're thinking, oh, I want to get a 412 cab or whatever, and they kind of fly under the radar. And again, I don't know how widely available they're marketed outside Canada or whatnot, but here, you know, they're fairly easy to get a hold of. And I've tried some out. I don't have a 412 Traynor one, but I have played them, and they're nice cabs and they sound good. And not a lot of people realize that, you know, they can save like $500 and get the same cab that they wanted from Marshall and Mesa. So not to say they're the only choice, but just wanted to make you aware of them if you were looking for a nice 412 and you were a little more strapped for cash. Now the other thing I want to tell you about was some 212s, because they're popular as well. So I happen to have behind me, you can't really see, a Traynor 212. And to me, the closest one I could find, it's a vertical 212 with a slant top. So the closest thing I could find was the Mesa Recto 212 slant top. So the differences in those, this one is the Traynor one is a little narrower. I guess I'll put a picture up. There's the Recto. We'll go through that first. So Recto, all birch construction, metal hardware, corners and handles, 8 ohms mono operation with 2 vintage 30 speakers, and it's 14 1/4 deep by 23 wide and 28 tall. It's a nice cab, good construction, all birch, no MDF. The Traynor that I have back here, I'll put a picture, boom. It's a little bit smaller, it's 14 1/4 deep, by only 18 wide, whereas the other one's 23, 18 wide. It's a little bit taller, it's 30 inches tall. And it comes with 2 vintage 30 speakers, and it is all plywood construction. It's mono at 8 ohms. It doesn't have casters. The Mesa one has casters, this one doesn't have casters, the Traynor. It does have all metal corners and handles. It is only $515. Whereas the Mesa 212 is at $730. So again, if you're looking for that style of 212 and you you like the construction that Mesa offers. You like the all plywood, the vintage 30 speakers, metal hardware, but you don't quite have the cash for the Mesa. You might want to consider checking out the Traynor YBX 212 to get your vintage 30 speakers and 212 for the Slant. Yeah, it's not you have to get that option, but just want to make people aware, because I don't think they realize sometimes that there are other cabs out there that are very comparable in construction and quality and what they deliver, and at a cheaper price. Look at the Traynor website and see they do some other cabs and stuff that I haven't mentioned here, but I kind of wanted to touch on at least the 412s, because those are the most common that you see out there, Mesa and Marshall. And just let people know that there are other more cost-effective solutions that they might be interested in trying, so that you can get some of those features and sounds if you don't have the budget for the Marshall or the Mesa gear. One other thing that I wanted to share, and this is some used gear information. So I picked one of these up. Is an Epiphone SoCal 412 cab. Why would I be interested in one of those? Well, the reason that you may be interested in one of those is these were what you might call a budget 412. When they were selling new, I don't think they make them anymore. They're selling for around $350, $400 new in Canada. I'm not sure if it was cheaper in the States or what the prices were. Anyway, it is a 412 cabinet with 4 eminent Lady Luck speakers in it. And I said, that doesn't interest me at all. Why are you talking about this? The reason I want to bring this cab up is because if you're looking for, like I said, it would just be the used market now. But if you're looking for a used cab and you really don't have a lot of cash, and even the ones that are, $600 are out of your price range, you might be looking at a budget 412. Well, so like I said, this was like $350, $400 new, so you can find them used for like $200 to $300. I've seen them going around for that. But why would I mention this cab in particular is because it's all birch construction. It's 11 ply birch plywood, top, sides, baffle, back, which in the 412s that you find, that you can buy used for $200 or $250. Usually you're not going to find birch construction, you're going to find MDF. And so the speakers, I would say, they're not super high-end speakers, but I would say they're better than, the cheap speakers that tend to come in, say like a Crate 412 or Behringer 412 or Line 6 412 or whoever Marshall MG series, whatever 412 you're buying for like $200, $250, I would say they're just as good or maybe a little better than most of the speakers I've heard in that price range. But maybe you want to just rip out the speakers and replace it. But this is a decent cab to have. It's 28 inches by 28.5 inches, so it's about 2 inches smaller, both dimensions from like a Marshall 412. Same depth, 14.25 inches. It's a front-loaded cab. But like I said, for a cheap cab, it's got all birch construction, so you can get it and then replace the speakers later, and you have a decent cab to work with. You don't necessarily just have to chuck the whole thing out. You can get speakers and play with it. So if you are really tight on budget and you're looking, if you can find an Epiphone SoCal 412 cab for a good price, then I would say it might be, it's probably the best $200 or $250 412 cab that you're gonna get, unless you find a crazy deal on a high-end one that's really cheap. But anyway, so there you go. There's some cab secrets that maybe you didn't know about, and I hope you found this helpful. And talk to you later. Bye.